So, hello everyone. I've decided to drop the timer 5 minutes early actually. Sorry. Just because we actually want to have as much time as possible to play, so that Five Faces can then switch to his own stream for the finals of the Shattered Paradise tournament as well at that time, which starts in about 1.5 hours. So, some of you, I suppose, didn't know that there is another match coming out, but here we are with our last match of the Season 6, which is a bronze match of playoffs, match for the first place, for the third place of course. Match for the first place you can watch over at Five Faces cast some days ago. I think it was on Tuesday evening, just at the end of his stream. And I think I'll later ask him to do a separate video of that, just to link it over in one of my post-mortem frontline reports for the season. So, the bronze match for the third place in Masters between Five Faces and ZX Ganon, as you could have guessed already. And at the moment I'm not alone on the stream because there is also ZX Ganon ready probably to talk. I'll try to unmute him, yeah, but I don't know if it's possible. So we can have
okay, hello.
Hello Ganon. So we can have a pre-match interview, let's say. Just a few words about what to expect from you.
I don't know what to expect from me. I'd like to win, so at least I'm in the top 3. But Five Faces might also want to win, so we have a problem.
Yeah, I suppose so. At least 3 games, but I hope 5 games. Let's be short, 5 games rather than 3 long games to decide who takes the third place.
Well, not like our both games we had before as warm-up, right? But the first one was sold. Don't worry, I plan not to use any kind of Teslas. I feel like Russia is way beneath Ukraine. I don't know, I've realized the latest days in late game that Teslas don't do anything, they're too expensive.
Right, so I guess you both are ready, right? So
yes, I am ready.
Yeah, I suppose we can start the game.
Yes.
So
wish me luck. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
See
good luck, both of you.
Thank you.
So yeah, ZX Ganon deafened himself. I suppose he also disabled the stream and is not stream sniping, but it's 90 seconds stream delay. So without further ado, good luck, have fun, and we are go for the first game of the best of 5 series. As you can guess at the top of the screen from the description, and I think I have made the description correct this time, so everything should be good to go. So the first map of the series is randomly picked by me, is Oil Sands, which is one of the maps from the map contest made by Super Newbie, and got a small restyling in its design, but still retains a lot of original features and is probably perceived something like patches on steroids, because it has a lot of one mine patches around the map. Which are not that profitable by themselves, but when you drive MCV around, you can just pop refineries which are left unprotected, so that gives a little bit of action going on the whole map. And going into the game, we already see ZX Ganon doing a straight War Factory build order with driving 3 docks, I think, and he only discovered barracks by 5 Faces, where 5 Faces just did a standard double rev build and tries to run a lot of infantry force inside ZX Ganon base, who is very greedy this time, not opting for barracks, but just building another refinery, and I suppose he will be low powered, and especially low powered due to 2 grenadiers. And if this power plant goes down, yeah, it goes down. So that doesn't look particularly good for ZX Ganon, but still, I think he's at least still ahead in tech. He's not low powered anymore. He has 3 ore trucks. Now 4 ore trucks against 2 from 5 Faces. And 5 Faces decided to just switch into a straight service depot this time, so it will be only double ref into service depot, and on only 4 ore trucks, still maintaining some pressure by rifle infantry. And ZX Ganon decided to go ahead even on that fast service depot and just move his original MCV. Because, well, he probably expected, like 5 Faces did a straight grenadier rush, it got deflected, then 5 Faces will do something like macro or taking up. So the next Ganon thought it's safe to move his MCV around. At the same time, 5 Faces is already building an MCV, which will be quite late, forming 40s, but still earlier than ZX Ganon's. Regarding the economy, I suppose they're dead even. 5 Faces, of course, having a little bit more in the early stage due to double ref, but them both equalizing. So at this time, right, and of course the destroyed count, which ZX Ganon has also destroyed a little bit more of infantry from 5 Faces, and unfortunate low power situation here. So that Tesla coil might have stopped all those rocket soldiers from doing any damage, but instead it got low powered. So 5 Faces lost Tesla coil, lost an ore truck, and is still prevented from using his ore patch on the left. So I suppose now 5 Faces will do a checkered expansion, like moving one of his MCVs and building refineries there, then moving another MCV, building refineries there, and so on. Yeah. So I'm exactly correct at this point. And I don't like this position of MCV, but that doesn't matter at this point because there are quite unsuccessful crashes by Five Faces, coupled with a base push, which might be dangerous. Yeah, there is a Tesla core already. And I guess that Xganon has nothing to stop that. Wolf beat 3. This is a bronze match, so it decides third and fourth instead. It's just that matches were played in no particular order, so finals were played first on Tuesday, and now we have the match for the third place happening only when both players actually got time to play it, which is today. So Five Faces now has quite an interesting position, pinning down the Xganon's forces just against this corner of the map. Well, if he succeeds blocking this pass as well, then he will only need to sit back on this line of defense and just wait for the Xganon to drain his economy. But Five Faces doesn't want any of it and just aggressively pushes through, and that's what you get for being over-aggressive. You lose quite a bit of infantry. And there is not an ideal primary point by Five Faces at this time, so he lost quite a bit of infantry as well to that Tesla coil. Interestingly enough, Five Faces also lacking the tech route, whereas ZX Ganon is already at tier 3, and we are probably going to see. Well, there is another interesting point to see, is that Five Faces picked random, I think, and turned out to be Russia, but ZX Ganon picked Ukraine. So it was today that he probably decided to switch to Ukraine, just because its support power is free of charge, and because Russia's troops are quite expensive, but at the same time quite easy to deal with. Like shock troopers are easy to deal with artilleries or Yaks or V2s on a massive scale, and you just lose a lot of money for that. So this time we saw Five Faces losing quite a sizable force to probably misclick or something else, like losing units on the edge of line of sight. Maybe that. Oh wow. Well, that was a little bit unexpected for me, yeah, but probably it's just because several things happening at the same time, which were not in Five Faces' favor. So, alright, it's that's it for game 1, I guess.
Battle control terminated.
Alright, so going into game 2.
Battle control initialized.
Alright, so 1 minute break. And getting back into the game. So again this time ZX Ganon is doing his War Factory straight build up, whereas Five Aces is opting for something less out of ordinary, or more out of ordinary actually. One ref into War Factory. And ZX Ganon misses Engineer this time. And loses one of the dogs, keeping another dog on hold, and yet another one is tucked away just at the edge of the map here. So let's see whether that 10-second advantage helps ZX Ganon this time. So he didn't spend anything on engineers, didn't spend anything on infantry, just built 2 dogs, and those dogs completely failed their mission. Well, the only thing they accomplished is they discovered that Five Aces went 1 refinery. Even that is uncertain for ZX Ganon, of course, because he only saw 1 refinery and 1 power plant, but probably he guessed that overall time that there was no refinery is that there was a War Factory in the making. So there is a difference in earned, like 500 apiece. So that's 10 seconds worth of extra mining. And the next Ganon already building an MCV, whereas Five Aces is delayed by producing a flak. Probably trying to defend himself from the APC running around. At the same time, Five Aces is preparing a Tesla coil, but probably again, no, he's prepared. He has 3 power plants, so he can afford placing 1 Tesla coil around. Especially, not at the moment, he doesn't, but he just plays it, that's why. And if the ZX Ganon gets unlucky, like he does, he loses an APC worth of units just to nothing. So his 10-second advantage is completely nullified. Also coupled with the fact that Five Aces had 1 oil derrick more and then 2 oil derricks more the whole time, and is now going to capture the 3rd one. And now his usual run around with flag truck, picking rifle soldiers one by one. At least until the time like this one, where there is just too much mass. And I should say 5SS is probably going to repair it, yep. Just pick that because he has a tank already to tank for anything he wants. But a well-placed Tesla Coil drives him away, and Xanax Ganon is now trying to run a battle for the middle of the map. So not an ideal place for a refinery, but still better than nothing. Of course it would have been much better if MCB was 2 tiles up and then a refinery could have been placed somewhere here at least. Five Faces miss-micros his flame tower here, hopes to target a power plant, and that it's gonna use that to dismantle the flame tower, engaging into this situation. And now there are 2 Tesla coils fighting around their armies. That is Ganon plays with his unpower button, choosing one Tesla coil or another. Now he can afford 2 at the same time, and he's probably winning. Yeah, he's winning this middle of the map fight, fair and clear. And 5 Faces is forced to undeploy, run away. And not that I like his radadome placement here. Because if it's going like this, then Alex Ganon will be able to just go straight into that base and destroy the radadome. So that's a little bit risky, and I don't approve it, but it is as it is. Maybe 5 Faces has something else in mind. At least he has a nice scouting from that radadome. First V2s come online, and this is where fast radadome plays nicely. So Tesla coils don't train for ZX Ganon anymore, and ZX Ganon probably going radadome himself, yep. Should be noted that 5 Faces is still on 3 oil derricks against 1, which also gives him a nice vision on that tank, but he's definitely not paying attention, and also he doesn't see that there is a small undetectable black dot on his minimap. Nice micro on that flag truck. And now let's see whether 5 Faces notice this heavy tank or not. I'm going to lose 1 ore truck. I don't see anything good happening to the X Ganon force here. And now let's see whether 5 Faces catches this force in the open. He might. He definitely might. One hit, second hit, and that's half of those rifles and rocket soldiers gone away. And yet another one. Wow, that's a massive win for 5 Faces here. That's a perfect use of V2s and Yaks. Well, what followed is not exactly perfect, but still a huge win. And now the Xenon is forced to just drag his whole army at the top and defend this forward expansion. And of course he will be at disadvantage, but at least he has his MCV here, so he can build yet another flame tower. Where is it? He also had one more V2, 2 against 1 from 5 faces, now reduced to 1 against 0 because of some yak action going around. MCV forced to be moved away, and that nice V2 win allowed 5 faces to completely deny the top ore patches for ZX Ganon. Decent fight for ZX Ganon, but still not exactly perfect. Of course, 5 faces needed his yaks right now for some anti-V2 defense here. So ZX Ganon managed to drive those forces down one by one. What do we have here? We have a MiG coming online. So that means that 5 faces is already at tier 3. Much faster this time than the last game, and also switching to shock troopers, I think, yeah. This time ZX Ganon is only on tier 2 and doesn't even plan to switch to tier 3. Only trying to grab more and more of those ore patches at the top. And again, the power meter swings back into 5 faces favor. There are already 4 airfields, which means that we are going to see some heavy MiG action. And it already pays out, destroying an MCV in the process. Also some tanks. Well, most of those tanks are actually 5 faces tanks and 5 faces MCV, which he only has a single one now, and building a second one just to have a backup. But still, what we can count up here is that ZX Ganon is completely at a loss because he has no economy. He has a single ore truck that mines something, and that ore truck doesn't have a refinery to unload, and will now be dead probably to those MiGs. Let's see. Yep. So now that Ganon is at 6 ore trucks, 5 ore trucks, and they're gathering 5 depleted mines. So I suppose the economy will just get down for ZX Ganon, and this MCV, this expansion MCV, is probably his last hope. If it goes unnoticed, but he decides to drive that back to the top and to protect the defense lines on this part of the map. Wow, and will we see? No, unfortunately 5 faces took a turn. Otherwise it would have been a comeback of the season from the help of those power bombs. What's the asset count? Assets are of course 20k ahead for 5 aces, just because of those 4 mix in there, which alone have something like 8k if my math is right. And still there is no tier 3 for ZX Cannon. Means he's... well, he still can defend with his flag trucks against those mix. Tough to catch those. And they will be very annoying at this stage of the game, because every ore truck counts for ZX Cannon. Especially ore truck that goes around juicy untouched or patches. The flag force is building up. Which makes it more and more dangerous for aircrafts to go around the map. And this is the first time probably where flag trucks drive near mix. But only getting several rifles and a lone rocket soldier instead. And another advantage of mix is that they are very fast, so if 5 aces knows that Yak flags are somewhere at the top of the map, then he just can switch to the bottom and do anything he wants here. Going away completely untouched. And his bottom half of the map is now protected by 2 Tesla coils, so almost impossible to drive an MCV somewhere. Oh, supposedly ZX Cannon could have drove his MCV through the bottom and just attacked from the rear, but with this much action going on, it's just not possible. And this fight looks like something desperate from ZX Cannon at this point. So probably the tech advantage and that completely undefendable force of mix just deny every move from ZX Cannon. He still can probably have another round of power bombs. And he absolutely can't afford losing those flags, because this will then be over. Because he will then be completely unable to drive any kind of vehicles around this mix in the field. So I don't know. You don't want 5 aces to have an eco advantage this late in the game, as well as tech advantage, of course. And at the same time there is a power drop on the back lines, so I think GG is quite soon to come from ZX Cannon at this point. He tries to build up Yak force of his own, but I feel he can't afford that. And there is another power of T3 for 5 aces here. There are 6 mix now, which makes it possible to destroy probably any building he wants in a single salvo. Nope, but at least in two. Yep. Bringing Zenith's gun into tier 1. Well, I just can't see anything possible for ZX Gunner to come back in this game. This should be a miracle, like catching 6 mix with a single flag truck. Only 4 ore trucks remaining, and a single MCV, and now 3 ore trucks, 2 ore trucks. Yep, that's GG. Definitely GG, and we are back at being even. So 1 point back for 5 faces here, with a impeccable and perfect usage of mix this time. Of course, he already had his superiority this game to enforce his mix. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to use any mix in this game. But still, you should use some micro with that, and 5 faces definitely did. Yeah, we are coming quite tight on our schedule here. Well, or maybe yeah, now it's probably now it's probably
Battle control initialized.
I of course forgot to check all the options, but I trust my server to have correct options for every game, because that's how I set up my open array for 0923 release. We have 1 minute to answer chat questions. Carrillo, hello Carrillo. First map was nonsense. Yeah, definitely. Air General is here, and he's not going to go away anytime soon. So let's see what craziness we are about to discover this time on Bachelor Hills, because now it just become a map of tricks and mind games, because usually it's revolved around who picks the middle of the map first, and both players trying to go around that. Unfortunately for ZX Ganon, his grenade rush is a little bit void here, stopped by 3 brave rifles. And ZX Ganon is doing a double ref, so that will be a very late MCV here, like 30 seconds late MCV, I suppose. Finally ZX Ganon found his power plant, at least. But I think this won't stop 5 aces from building an air refinery, because he's still on power. Then selling a refinery, I guess, which is the only negative here. But still being quite on time to get his middle here. Something happened at ZX Ganon base. Probably some kind of scouting by a ranger. Yeah, you should remember that not only 5 aces is air general, but he's 5 aces, so not one single ace driving that MiG, but 5 aces driving 5 MiGs, and there were 6 MiGs, probably 5 aces and a rookie in a squadron, or 5 aces and an air general, whatever is to your liking. Definitely having 5 ore trucks on a single refinery is not to your liking. And the battle for the middle of the map commences with ZX Ganon taking the reign here. And that was a misclick and a half. With 5 aces probably trying to get that Rocket Soldier, but at the same time Rocket Soldier moved 1 cell away and forced Ranger moving in as well, getting wrecked by rifles and a Rocket Soldier and an APC in the process. So all this and a hiccup with the refinery made 5 aces being actually late on his MCV, because ZX Ganon MCV is already trying to go through ore trucks here. So 5 aces just decided to pick his safe expansion on the left. And finally he also has a concrete wall ready. Yeah, probably wall enough. Unfortunately he didn't have enough walls to cover all the stuff, so needed 1 more. But now it's got covered, and I wouldn't be surprised if he moves his MCV right here. But I think I will be surprised if he tries to go into a base push here. Because I don't see a way for 5 aces to go through with that Tesla coil in the middle of the base, and with 5 aces being British, so he doesn't exactly have any cards to play here, just only turrets and pillboxes. That Shadow Squadron, like Gatekeeper trademark of 5 medium tanks, got scouted by our suicide rifle, so that's not going to have any wreckage onto the ore trucks, and just stopped by 5 aces from happening. At the same time, 5 aces tries to wall off his left side of the map. But I should say that in the process he will just lose the ability to move freely around this part of the map as well, and he won't be able to grab these 2 free ore patches. Action now moves to the right part of the map. So actually 5 aces can just try and grab that it cannon's natural, and no, it's not possible because there is an MCV and because there is a huge infantry army which can probably deal with those tanks. And having flame troopers into the ranks as well, he can... well, no, that MCV escapes. But unfortunately for 5 aces, that helipad is not going to live long. And still building helipads just into the face of incoming enemy army. I don't know what was thinking about that. Probably just building anything that comes into play, which was helipads. And that X-Gunner finds a single space behind the wall to just sneak half of his army through. And you know what, that's definitely going to be 2-1 right now, because no way 5 aces expected that tile to betray him. So that wall worked in a reverse order. Yeah, so instead of protection, those walls... yeah, supply truck. Let's think that it's a demo. And... wait, what? Ah, right. 2 supply trucks. That's just into the face of your enemy. And the game looks to be over. Especially when this last MCV falls. There's still another one. The X-Gunner picks his own money. Just donated to 5 aces, but 5 aces wasn't available for donations. Because he was too busy dying. And you know what? I have a run title, which I can really change this time. Well, we have not particularly interesting part of the game at the moment. Of course, 5 aces tries to salvage something from this game. And I didn't pay attention, but I suppose he managed to bring back one of his MCVs alive with the help of a mechanic, because he couldn't have built 2. But still, it's not looking good, because there is already a huge assets advantage or truck advantage. Probably the X-Gunner opting for some power build at this time. Yeah, like having a squadron of mammoth tanks just driving all those walls down into the ground. And this industrial music by Fear Factory can probably be rightfully aligned with the appearance of mammoth tanks. That orb joke is totally irrelevant for this map. And well, what do we have here? It's a make fuck you by ZX Gannon into 5S's face, showing just hey, I could do the same. I can have a mic and micro it. Well, I should say that ZX Gannon probably dragging it all too long by losing that army. But still there is completely nothing to stop those 2 mammoth tanks that should have destroyed this part of the map and just drive 5S's down to tier 1 again, but instead he decided to drive them back and have yet another 10 minutes of this beautiful gameplay here. Well, probably we should expect an atom bomb from ZX Gunner at this point. Nice combo of her bombs and 2 mix. Unfortunately, that's not enough to bring the Raidodome down. And also, the next gunner forgot about his pyro drop in the corner. And I guess the thing that keeps 5S's alive is that he's grabbing some of those gems in the corner. That at least keeps his earned counter in a decent shape. But I mean, 3 mammoth tanks are not gonna be stopped by this force, especially if they now drive forward instead of standing at the back of the rifles who die at the hands of those artilleries. Yeah, so now we are probably to see 3 mammoth tanks dealing with all this force by themselves. Yeah. I would have loved a comeback, but there is simply no comeback after this. And it's 2-1 for ZX Cannon.
Battle control terminated.
Okay, so at most 2 games left now, and ZX Ganon also has a possibility to. Well, each of those 2 games is a match point for ZX Ganon. Shadowfiend. Shadowfiend is definitely the map that both players are familiar with. Right, so luck have fun for the game 4 here. Wait, what? Yeah.
Battle control
No,
initialized.
Eskimo. Oh, Sense was the first map. Of course, you can pick any map any number of times, which probably is the rule that might have been removed in the future. But personally, I don't have any reservations on that. I'm okay with either option. But anyway, no sense was played, as were several other maps, and now we are on Shadowfiend. So this time 5 faces again, like on Badger Hills, going a little bit stronger. Well, I mean a little bit faster on his tech up, so faster on his War Factory, which probably might be a little too risky, but he gets away with it, not catching those 3 riflemen. And this time 5 faces gets away with a 2 oil derricks grab and having a War Factory, a fast War Factory at the same time. So now he will probably have Ranger after the sword truck as well. Then try to contest the middle oil derrick, or he will just straight up build several ore trucks and have a faster expansion. Opt for that instead. Yeah, so that's exactly what 5SS is doing here. Just tries to out-macro ZX Ganon, who is known to prefer macro himself in favor of any micro play. At least that's how 5SS himself puts it. But I think ZX Ganon is quite a proficient player, but when macro, map awareness, like mind games are taken into play. So that's where he usually excels. Well, he has decent micro. Not of course. Probably I would say he will prefer more money than being able to make more value out of units. Like this time he drives around with his APC only to find a lone rifle, destroying his attempt at taking even more advantage on Odorix in the middle of the map. Still having 3 to 2 Odorix, which is a nice advantage, but not having a bioconstruction vehicle yet at this moment. Opting for second engineer, already having 6 core trucks, but that's quite a late construction vehicle. I don't know what he was actually building, because that's very late. This time 5SS already moved to tier 2, fortifies his own expansion, probably driving one of his MCVs to another one, and of course building a helipad. So finally there is an MCV. There is no truck move out at this point, which will probably hurt ZX Ganon a little bit, just in a minute time. And this is the first time that 5SS tries to poke his opponent. Just crawls out of his fortified shell. And ZX Ganon still doesn't micro his ore trucks at the bottom, which are 5, not doing anything. At the same time microing his small infantry force, trying to get some of 5SS ore trucks, but just having a pillbox in their face. And now they are probably going to get raped by Heinz and just go back in a rifle-only force, which is completely harmless and out of contention on the map. And we are already for tier 3 from 5SS, so it's definitely is definitely 5SS having a serious advantage at the moment. Finally, ZX Ganon moved his war trucks. Come on now, you've never seen Shadowfiend 2 before? It's a map that was played for 3 seasons already, so probably you were quite away for almost a year. The problem is if Five Faces wins it, then we'll have to play game 5. That means that Shattered Paradise tournament is going to be slightly delayed because both casters of that tournament are involved in a game between themselves. Right, and there is a huge army by Five Faces driving straight into ZX Ganon main base, completely undefended. Because ZX Ganon tries to do something, but I guess War Factory will go down right now. He cancels his tech center, which is not going to help. I guess he has... no, he doesn't have, and he doesn't cancel his tech center, he just has it. What he doesn't have is a War Factory, so he doesn't have any Tesla coils. And Five Faces just drives his opponent's main base into ashes. At the same time, he will probably be able to solve the top expansion, or maybe destroy this MCV-less expansion instead. And this time Five Faces is not really an air general, let's say, because I didn't see him accomplish too much with that hind force. But probably they will get patched up and ready for another go. Well, that game looked like it was quite successful for Five Faces, but at this point, ZX Ganon is almost on par with Five Faces. Ah, right, so Five Faces got Tech Center, of course. But still, I suppose ZX Ganon can just try and drive his Tier 2 force instead. 4 Yaks are a little bit too much for one Tanya, but still get the job done. Phew. So I don't know now. It might be tight. There is a mobile rather than jammer, of course, by Five Faces here. Mostly negating rocket soldiers in the mix. Yeah, no army from Five Faces is an alarming sign. They're still both okay at eco. Of course, Five Faces probably... Wow, that was nice hind drop. Still he's okay at power. Maybe having another power plant? Right. So he lost his tech center while I was again not paying enough attention. So the game looks to be thrown away by Five Faces here, because Now there are again Mammoth tanks, and now still driving at the back of the army, not at the front of it. But it will soon change. And now Five Aces is on the ropes himself, just been pinned down to the right part of the map. That's a nice artillery here. That's a nice A-gun here. Well, it's not exactly a not like this moment. Um, if you don't consider not like this being stretched into something like 5 minutes. This time Tanya probably gets it's worse, because Yak is just too far away to be relevant. And the problem with Heinz is that they can't do shit against Iron tanks. Probably need longbows here. Not probably, but highly likely. But the problem is, for longbows to come into play, you need an actual army to support them as well. And that is a luxury Five Aces doesn't have here. Which means that this game is probably over, as well as the match at stake. Yeah, well, that was highly unfortunate and unlucky, and probably a gameplay mistake as well by Five Aces here. Because that force at the bottom was very promising to do enough damage, but instead looked to be not enough. Those were staying quite a little bit of time. And you know, Tanya doesn't change this, because there are 2 Mammoth tanks, 3 now, so Tanya can't deal with Mammoth tanks. And of course you can't do shit when you lose Heinz like that. Oh. Oh, there is something like a base push here. And I guess ZX Ganon doesn't realize any of that. And maybe we will have base grab here. But I don't know why Five Aces sold his MCV, because that was dumb. Probably wanted to undeploy it, but instead sold it. Well, that makes it even more over than it was before. So that was the only chance by Five Aces to get anything here. And now it's over. And now Mammoth tanks will drive to the Soviet victory here. I think not over is a little bit exaggerating here, because Five Aces is at 0 cash. Yeah, I sold my MCV on accident. Definitely going to undeploy it instead, but press the wrong key at the wrong moment. it's GG. And
Oh yeah, baby.
ZX Ganon takes third place in Masters.
At least something.
Yeah, congratulations.
Through the power of mammoth tanks.
Well, that misclick was definitely not lucky for Five Aces here.
Yeah, that was weird that he sold it. I mean, I still think it was over, but he had a shot with that, is getting the south expansion, but I so much units,
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
actually this game was going so well for him in the early part of the game, because he did all the right moves. He had complete control, and then he had a huge army force driving straight into your main base, and somewhere there it all went completely to shit, and then the second attack where his Heinz only destroyed, I think, attack sensor in the top right, and from that point you just turned around and took away the game from Five Aces here. Right, so that was the conclusion for this season, I guess.
Finally over.
Yeah, so.
But it was a good series, I guess.
Well, definitely it started on a low before the season, because 1 month before the season we actually weren't sure that there will be a season, just because a lot of players left anywhere, and especially recruits and minions, a lot of guys just decided to not play the season. But in the end, I think it turned out to be quite okay. Definitely the shorter season helped. So we managed to play all the matches sooner, and didn't have a lot of forfeits, because if we were playing something like 1 match per week, then at this time we would have only have the group stage ended instead, but now we already at the end of the season, so that's it. Well, anyway, congratulations to you for taking the third place here.
Thank you very much.
I don't know yet about the badges for second and third that you were talking about a lot.
I think this would be too much. I think just the winner should deserve it. So
yeah, we'll think about it. As you have seen, I've drawn some badges, but I'm not yet exactly satisfied with them. Maybe I will have some time in the future to do something better, or maybe asking someone else to do it. But I hope that I can manage it. Just needs something memorable for the RAGL badge. It's something to stand out, of course.
Oh, Five Aces just went live. I think now he starts with his stream in Shadow Paradise.
Yeah.
So now we will work together instead of against each other.
Yeah, so maybe.
I still wanna say out that those 2 supply trucks I threw at him was just that was not BM. It was unintended, and I saw that. I was like, okay. Now I let it look like it is BM and write to him, here, have some money, so you admit that maybe can still come back. I usually like Five Aces so nice. I usually do not do that to good people. No, you don't do this to Five Aces.
Well, in the end, you picked up your own crate, I think. One of those. Yeah, he destroyed 2 supply trucks, but you picked up one of the crates, and the second one just stayed there.
I really missed the punchline. Merry Christmas, and then there's the press.
Yeah.
I
think someone said it in chat. I don't know, probably commented out that this was a Christmas present.
Yeah. Oh well. Missed opportunities. Oh well.
Yeah, and anyway, that game was something unusual with a lot of walls playing out. But instead it turned that sneaky army move out on the left, where you found a one tile where you can drive your army around a cliff. That was probably what won you that game at that time, because that was completely surprising for Five Aces, I guess.
Also, what I rarely do, grenadiers at the beginning on Badger Hills, that I usually do not do. Usually I get grenadiered.
Ah, yeah, those mm, they didn't win you anything directly, but because Five Aces wasn't low powered, but he was forced to sell his second refinery instead of placing it, because he cannot afford it in terms of low power. And then he was on 5 ore trucks on a single refinery for like 20 seconds. So that was what held him back in that game. But at least we saw the air general in this match.
Yeah, there are so many mix. I've never seen so many.
Yeah, that game 2 was a joy to behold about the MiG micro. And
yeah,
in the end,
his micro was very great, but still was a long game.
Well, I suppose at that time Five Aces could afford anything he wanted, but
yeah.
Still he just built up 6 MiGs, and 6 MiGs just destroy anything in one salvo.
Yeah. Holy shit. The match on Oisense was interesting. Like, at the beginning, how I defended against those grenadiers without taking too much damage. I still took some.
Well, yeah, the Oil Sands game was swinging around several times, I guess. So I suppose you want to have several minutes of rest before the finals for the Shattered Paradise tournament now. And I think I will just raid Five Aces stream and move every single viewer to that stream. But I suppose every single viewer will
you're lagging.
just move anyway. Lagging what? You mean my stream or what?
I think you're lagging, man. I think your internet is dying. Careful.
Don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, now it's fine.
Actually, I now see in OBS that I have 0 dropped frames, which is quite a feat for my stream. Right. So, anyways, thank you for coming in for this chat, and I suppose I give reins to you and Five Aces to have a nice final for Shattered Paradise tournament.
I hope you're gonna watch as well.
Yeah, definitely. At least the first part.
It's Happy versus Pancho. So
yeah, I know.
And it's the hysterical squirrel versus Pancho. Fuck is that? What the hell? No.
Yeah,
what the hell? No.
That picture was quite relevant for the first day.
That was perfect.
But you know, what I gathered about Happy in that tournament is that he just learned the game in the process. So
yeah,
his opponents were not exactly pressing and didn't give him enough pressure to just have him facing everything at once.
Yeah.
So just they dropped at him like these units and those units, and he just saw that this doesn't work against those units, so he built something else, and he learned how to counter anything. So
Yeah.
now coming into the final, he actually Happy is actually a decent Shattered Paradise player.
Yeah, we'll see what strategies he might call. I mean, he has his double expansion strategy, so let's see if this one gets countered by Pancho. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, and also playing the most boring faction of Shattered Paradise.
Oh, by 5. I still find it pretty endearing with Orcas, you know.
Yeah, you
And
know what? We'll
Disruptor.
have Tiberium some final, because Pancho always plays Not.
Not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
that
it's
will
GDI.
be GDI versus Not.
So it's Tiberian Sun in theory. Yeah, it is. On better scales, you know, not just Titan spam. Even though Happy stays on tier 2 way too long. Like there's the Juggernauts, Mammoth Tanks, Disruptors, Orca Bombers, and Eagle Guards. So many late game units GDI has that are nice. And Iron Cannon. Well,
Yeah, there is also a bigger version of a TNT tank, like
the
Mammoth tank
truck.
MK2.
And demo bike, but demo truck is for mutants, so we won't see that. But demo bikes for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Not misses those rocket bikes from Tiberian Dawn. It's funny that they are replaced by demo bikes, but
And rocket buggies.
I suppose, yeah, rocket buggies try to cover both fronts, like usual buggies and rocket buggies, and also flame tanks. So there are several units instead.
Well, the Devil's Tongue is still but on tier 3, so yeah, early game tier 2 kind of radar buggy Scorcher, as 5 Aces likes to call it. And that you're also not playing is a shame. Like Happy says, the macros like RA, but the micro is completely different. Oh well.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
that buildings in the beginning of the game cost you the same amount of power, so you can use pretty much the same builds around.
Kind of.
Yeah, and
Kind
also
of,
the
yeah.
cost for those is very close.
The only thing is that vehicles are way cheaper than RA. Still super strong. So yeah, you can have both. It's you have to play SP yourself. That's like, I can't describe the gameplay. Happy even can't. So, but if he seems to have fun, let's see if he gets defeated by Punch and says otherwise. Or maybe he wins. We'll see. We'll see. So anyway, I'll go off to 5 Aces now. I wish the all the
You're
viewers
switching to right. So you're on Shattered Paradise voice.
Discord.
Right?
Yeah. You can join us if you wish. I don't care.
I think I can, but I suppose I would just end up a stream and rate 5 Aces stream. So maybe
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think that you two are enough for to cover the whole voice part of the stream. So it's for me it's not that easy to interrupt all the other casters in the stream. So
Well.
especially someone like Radio Ganon, where it's on air.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway man, I have to go. If you wish to enter, you can, but I'll be back now. We'll be away now, so thank you very much for casting us, for the viewers. See you in Shattered Paradise.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thank you for the great season.
Yo, thank you very much. I hope we see you in the next good one next year.
Yeah, I hope so too.
So, see ya.
Right, so that covers it. And that, not that, but this ends up our season 6.